Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of the House of Holocrons podcast. This evening we're going to be primarily going over the Disney Plus shows, the ones coming out in the future. So we will be going over things for all the way from Andor to the Acolyte. So again, if you let us know what your favorite show is and what you're the most anticipated for in the comment sections, and let's get into it. As always, I'll reintroduce Chris.
Jess.
Mike.
And let's talk some Star Wars. So, Mike, what is the show you are the most excited for?
This is gonna be a hard one.
Mm-hmm.
Andor seems pretty cool, just because it's something we haven't seen yet.
Mm-hmm.
Minus that it does remind me a lot of Rogue One, but
Makes sense. I mean, it's not a bad vibe for them to pull because it is Cassian Andor. I know a lot of people are excited for Andor because of that same reason, where it is very, very different vibe in Star Wars. We don't have Force users. Besides, I think there's like a few rumors of Darth Vader showing up, but that's probably just like I feel like that's almost the fan service part of it, where they're like, we got to put a lightsaber in there at least once.
Maybe like Inquisitors.
Yeah, I mean,
because you could always have like one of the other sisters or brothers that they haven't shown yet.
Right. Yeah, Andor looks really good. That trailer they put out honestly got me a lot more hyped. I was I wouldn't say disliking it, but the trailer really pushed me into like full-fledged, okay, this is probably going to be really cool. If they really pull like the 007 like hardcore espionage vibe, I think that would help a lot. I know one of the things I really don't want to see in Andor though is like I feel like they could also do like just a bunch of weird political stuff in there. And like I know there's a lot of politics in Star Wars, but the show is like I feel like the show should be more about the beginnings of the rebellion and building up instead of just like mostly I don't want like another Canto Bite. I don't want another like let's go look at the dark side of the rich people of Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
Unless they're gonna, but then again they could do it right and prove me entirely wrong.
I think we should not see Tatooine this time. As much as I like the planet, I think we've gotten a lot of Tatooine
every
lately.
Single thing?
Yeah, almost everything eventually ends up or settles around Tatooine.
Like mostly the Boba Fett show,
Mm.
mostly Obi-Wan, which well, I don't say mostly, but quite a bit of Obi-Wan. So.
Yeah. And of course,
Like I said, I love the Tatooine setting. It's just something different.
Right. And we're definitely going back to Tatooine because the Mexico servers of Disney Plus accidentally dropped a season 2 coming soon tab underneath Boba Fett.
I think it was Spain.
I saw that.
Yeah. So that it's definitely going to happen. We're going to get more Tatooine. So yeah, we can put everything else away because there's going to be, again, unless Boba like goes full, like unless Tamora really got what he kind of wanted in Boba season 2, then he's going to be on Tatooine again for a while.
I don't know. I think the end of it that kind of like set it up for them to back up.
Maybe the era of Tatooine is gone.
Well, I expected him to probably show up in the Mandalorian season at one point, since they kind of made allies of each other. So,
they're going to need help with what all the crazy stuff that's going to be going on in season 3. That's what I'm probably most excited for is Mandalorian season 3 because from what we have seen, of course, Din and Bo are going to have to fight. I really, really hope Bo-Katan isn't going to just accept the Darksaber again. That would be...
She can't. She can't because she already had the opportunity to have Din give it to her, and she's like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
So she's going to have to fight.
She's going to have to fight, and I'm very curious to see how it's all going to go with, especially the Mythosaur thing. Like, that was such a ploy. Like, there's I almost feel like they almost too heavily dropped it. There's going to be a Mythosaur. We're finally going to see a canon live-action Mythosaur.
How are they going to do it? Is it going to be he has to go see it and meet it or some way?
Like it's going to be some Bindu monk, or like the Bindu. It's just going to be this.
Well, the interesting thing is all up until, I guess, if they do decide to drop one, Mythosaurs were always wiped out.
Yeah.
Way long ago.
Like the original Mandalorians hunted them to extinction.
Yeah, way before the Old Republic, all that.
Yeah, because KOTOR, like, they don't exist. You can't find one.
Yeah.
And then the remnants of them often were used for the construction of things, and if they do it, I don't know if they'll be able to do it justice because the only real pictures you've seen of them there was a comic that is now Legends.
Yeah.
That has a skeleton where a Empire facility is like a city was built into the skeleton of one, and then the Empire kind of took it over. But that was, I believe, suggested that was a juvenile mythosaur that had a city living in its rib cage. So
So they're
they're
massive.
supposed to be very, very massive. So I
Yeah.
doubt we'll see one of that scale like it was always suggested. But
Do we know if they hatch or are they just like born? No.
No.
I
there's
wonder if
very
there's gonna be
low.
like an egg or something.
Yeah.
Even with the old with the comics and all the old books, there's very, very little lore about mythosaurs.
Yeah. And even like in the KOTOR game, they look entirely different. Which is that's supposed to be like a adolescent or very young, like crate dragon in the KOTOR games, and then we see the crate dragon. So like they change things up extremely.
Yeah, it's just it's something that I guess I've never ever touched on.
Yeah.
And there's only very, very few instances they did, which the only image we have was the skeleton.
Yeah.
They said it was so massive.
Because I always thought the crate dragon would kind of be bigger because the skeleton they show on the New Hope with in the background of the dunes looked huge. So again, maybe the one that we saw in Mandalorian wasn't like a fully grown crate. So that's a thing I think they're kind of like almost striving away from is like this sense of grandeur. They want to make everything so like tight and compact. But with Mandalore, I mean, it's super easy to have open spaces filled because it's just a big white desert.
So are we going on to the Mandalorian show now?
Yeah, we'll move on to Mandalorian.
Okay. Before if I start dropping stuff.
The one of the really big things to me in the Mandalorian show too is gonna be again like realigning the clans.
Yeah. Which will be very difficult because they was already struggling during the Clone Wars. And then once, all the major events happened.
Yeah.
And if you aren't aware, there's several events where the Mandalore was destroyed. So there's no one really, unless they change it, no Mandalorians were currently living on Mandalore.
Except for like that one city.
A lot of it was due to the Empire and
I know that's a big thing too. It would be like that'd be kind of cool for them to finally bring out a lot of things we've seen in other sources like Knights of the Republic 2, where they're like rehabilitating Taurus, because we know like on Coruscant they completely control the weather on Coruscant. They have full control over that. So I feel like they could really at least attempt to start reseeding and repopulating the Mandalore's surface.
Well, I think the first agenda is to get the Mandalorians, because they are all spread out in different areas all over the galaxy, and some of them have lost their own way or started their own way, as we've seen with the the Mandalorians clan that he was with till they disavowed him for taking his helmet off for a few seconds.
So be a zealot. You gotta be a zealot.
I mean, they're very zealoty. They are hardcore.
And since he's attached them, I'm sure he's going to try to win them back.
Yeah.
But since they're so zealot, it's going to be difficult.
Right.
He's gonna try and then realize that they really are crazy or something. Maybe. He's gonna have like a heart moment.
I mean, that would make sense. I mean, Bo-Katan actually had that same moment through the Clone Wars arc. With the early Death Watch arc, she kind of like realized like, okay, like I'm fighting for what I believe is Mandalorian pride. Why do they keep taking it so far? And I personally feel that Sabine should show up in season 3 of The Mandalorian.
Yeah, that would be it would be very fitting for her to show up. Of course, we'd all want to know what she's been up to this whole time, because it has been a while.
Technically, the last one to have won the saber.
Yeah, she is the last one we know. Well, it's like Din won it, but it's like that doesn't any of that line count because it wasn't won properly after Bo.
Then we'd have to find out how the Empire won it. So,
yeah, exactly.
So hopefully she's not dead from that engagement.
I mean,
that was.
He took it. He stole it.
Oh yeah, I think Moff Gideon stole a lot.
Well, she was near the end of Rebels, starting to want to try to get the clans together. Mm-hmm. So that was something she was willing to do. So something must have happened because it didn't happen.
That and yeah, we'll definitely need to see Clan Wren alone, just because Clan Wren was a very powerful clan and like had a lot of power and a lot of houses underneath them. So that they're a really big clan. Clan Kryze, we don't really know that much about, and I mean, hey, maybe we'll finally get like a canon Ordo. That'd be kind of cool. But that would, of course, just because of my channel name, if they could just mention Duxon, that would make it so much better.
So then everybody can actually know how to pronounce your name.
Besides the fact that people would know how to pronounce it, it's also the fact that, like, there's a lot of Mandalorian history on Duxon and Onderon, but it's all legends.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll pull from some of it, because they've already shown they're going to. Mm-hmm. And there's still a lot they can use. Some stuff they'll have to come up on their own, which I won't complain as long as they don't ruin it.
Yeah.
But yeah, from that series, I don't know. I don't want to see. I guess it's the way that we might consider some going on this whole adventure arc of maybe seeking on the Mandalorians to redo Mandalore. But I doubt he's going to do that at the beginning. I'm sure there's going to be this, he's got a couple of things to handle first until probably comes across Bo-Katan on Mandalore, and they have this whole engagement there. Mm-hmm. There's no... It's going to be hypocritical for her to go against him, mm-hmm. because she basically was the same place he was.
Yeah.
But there's no way she will, because he's this outsider. So he has a lot less claim than she does in her eyes. But
yeah.
Plot twist, she actually just ends up supporting him because she realizes she can't win it.
Yeah.
I know, at first I thought that the opening scene in like that leaked trailer of Din walking down that hallway and her being in the throne was indicative of her already having won. But it's almost like, I think that might be the challenge moment, actually. Like, she's sitting there on the throne almost like in defiance, being like, all right, we got to fight. I don't care how much I like you. We've got to fight.
Something she probably does that impacts him to cause him to want to go there. So either he needs her help, or she, I don't know.
I mean,
he's already on the way there, though.
In a sense, because
the mythosaur.
Because the armorer told him you have to be there to redeem yourself. So I feel like he's gonna go to her and be like, "Do you know anything about mines on Mandalore?" She's like, "Well, the only we kind of mined all the Beskar out of Mandalore. Like, most of our mines are usually on like Concordia and these other moons and planets." But I could see him going to her and being like, "I need to get to Mandalore. Like, I have to. Where do I go? How do I get there?" To me too, my big what the heck's gonna happen is if the Mandalorians do reunite, are they going into a state of isolationism where they're gonna build up and become stronger and better, or are they gonna try and get the clans together and crusade to take back Mandalorian space?
That would be the easiest way to unite them. Is a crusade,
right?
But I don't see it happening in this. I see him at the very end of the season when if this does a thing he does, it'll be at the end of the season. Because one people that are more hard-headed than the Jedi and stuff like that are the Mandalorians. They're very hard-headed. They're very stubborn.
That's actually something I was kind of thinking too. Is speaking of Jedi and Mandalorians, maybe it's the only place I could see it ever wanting to show up really. Is as Din is like trying to find his way through Mandalore, and might be trying to become or feel more comfortable in the idea of being Mandalore himself. Maybe we get a Force Ghost Tar Vizsla. What do you think on that?
Maybe it would have to be something with Grogu.
Not really. Force Ghosts don't need another Jedi to talk to. They can talk to anyone.
But I'm saying Grogu might connect him, or
maybe.
I think Grogu's purpose in the long run. I think he is gonna be the real Mandalore. I think you're setting him up
Yes.
to Din. I think his whole deal is to restart the whole thing up with
Mm-hmm.
Grogu, and then he's gonna die off, and Grogu's just gonna take over
It's
from
gonna be
there.
like 800 years later, and Grogu's just sitting on the throne. And
He's gonna still be only slightly taller.
Right. Only slightly taller, maybe like a little like chin scruff, wearing like scraps of armor.
We don't even know if they can grow a beard.
A Mandalore the Immortal.
Yeah, exactly. Mandalore the Immortal. That's awesome. Because I mean that would like, but that's also going to really push into. I wouldn't say like. I mean, no. Honestly, it is going to be like a racial thing. Then that's like because Mandalorians used to be all species. We have not seen any like Twi'lek, Togruta, Wookiee. We have not seen any Mandalorians that are not human.
Well, the funny thing is they had an origin originally the same as the Sith, where it was a race, and then they ended up taking anybody.
Yeah.
Because it became no longer a race; it became a culture.
Yeah. Because I think it was like after so many wars, Mandalore the Indomitable and like Mandalore the Ultimate were just like, we gotta like, we're dying. We're dying out here. We need more people. So yeah, they took in everybody. But that is all, again, in that nice, like, kind of canon feel, because it has to do with Revan and the Mandalorian and Jedi Civil Wars, which, like, they'll reference to, and, like, a lot of the authors love those old stories, but they just haven't gone full force into canonizing any of it yet. I think Mandalorian Season 3 will probably put a lot more really awesome Mando culture into the canon verse, which that alone is going to make it fun for me.
I mean, that's going to make it fun for everybody and really kind of draw in more people.
Yeah.
I think. Because you have Boba, and then you have, like, how he acts with everything. Mm-hmm. So now they're going to try to bring in more people into the Mandalorian side. Because Jedi is overdone.
The interesting thing with Boba is it would be nice to see him finally take roots in the Mandalorian culture, because he never has.
And it makes sense, yeah. It'll make sense after Book of Boba.
I don't see him going too much into it, because he's already got his plate full right now. Unless somehow he's like, okay, this is a bigger thing than me. I don't see him. He's already hard-headed himself.
Yeah.
Plus, Boba himself will be difficult to be accepted among the traditional Mandalorians, because he is a clone.
Mm-hmm.
He is, when you see him, any of them that know anything what the original clones look like, they'll know that he was one of the original clones.
And because of Jango, there's that tension.
Yeah. So that's one of the biggest thing hurting him for that. But yeah, that, and he's never been around in the Mandalorian culture. He just that's his armor, because that was his father's armor.
I think they looked back up, but I don't know if the writing that he shows for the chain code, I don't know if that was in Mandoa or if it was in Orabesh. So that might be a big kind of like, does he even know the language, let alone...
Wouldn't he have learned some of it whenever he was on the clone planet?
Camino?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like, because they got some schooling, right?
Yeah, like a lot of the commandos and a lot of like the words they would use, like for like, I mean, they have like the clone song is Vod On, which is a Mandalorian war chant.
But Boba didn't really get much of that.
Okay.
He was always his own. He was a different thing.
Mm-hmm. And then, but I could see Boba kind of like, because I feel like Cobb Vanth is almost, with that whole like last scene of Book of Boba Fett Season 1, I feel like he's almost going to put Cobb Vanth in his seat and be like, I'm going to go somewhere else and do something else. And maybe that is kind of explore with Din on Mandalore.
Yeah. Proxy leader, and then maybe go back to bounty hunting?
Maybe.
Hunt down.
I mean, Tamora Morrison straight up said he wants to hunt down Mace Windu. So, Samuel L. Jackson has now been quoted saying he wants to be back in Star Wars.
That's Season 2. That's just them.
I don't see them bringing back Cobb. I think he was a kind of just like short time character.
Yeah,
but
I don't know.
I would love to be wrong. I liked him he's a cool character, but I just don't see the actor coming back.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a very high price actor too. that's a big thing with Star Wars is they kind of enjoy taking the smaller actors, besides like some of the leads they've gotten for some of the shows. But then again, that's Disney money now, so that might be what the big change is.
Yeah.
Is it's not just Lucasfilm money, which was still a lot. But.
Well, and a lot of actors are starting to realize like there's more money and more fame in shows.
Yeah.
Like you can get big fame in movies, but
it's also
shows.
It's also a lot of infamy because Star Wars fans will, if they don't like one scene, they will try to bury you in the dirt.
Which is the toxic side of it. That
Yeah.
it's like we need to cut that out.
Yeah.
So Mandalorian season 3 is definitely gonna be fun. I mean, that's the one I think. So we're getting Andor in this year, and then Mandalorian season 3 pops the beginning, like February of next year.
And Ahsoka is.
I don't think they
Next
put
year.
a date on this
Yeah, they don't have a date yet.
Yeah, they started filming, so it's probably gonna be late 2023.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll probably see it probably around this time next year.
Yeah, and I feel like what's gonna end 2023, and what I'm. All right, I gotta take that back. Honestly, what I'm the most excited for is the last show we're getting, and that's gonna be the Acolyte.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, Skeleton Crew are way out, and all these other shows are way out, but the Acolyte is gonna be something that I am going to flip out over, just because it's High Republic, all about dark side, and it's gonna be full of Sith lore, and that's gonna be stellar for me.
You're just gonna like
Is that one
die watching
live?
it.
Is that a live action?
Yeah, I think so. I believe so,
I thought they
but
said it was.
I think they did say it was, but I'll have to recheck it out. They haven't announced a lot about it, aside from the fact that they've just said they are just getting ready to start filming here soon.
And Bad Batch, I believe, is.
Yeah, that's right.
Bad Batch
as well.
2.
Yep, Bad Batch season 2, which that'll be fun to see Gungi.
Are we getting another Visions?
I don't know about Visions. There's no announcements.
I haven't seen anything about Visions, but
Could've
The
sworn there was a
the
sequel.
last announcement we got for like way off, probably not till 2024, was like Skeleton Crew.
And then Tales of the Jedi.
Tales of the Jedi is I think Tales of the Jedi might be 2023. Animated
Yeah.
stuff they can kind of pump out because it's a larger team working on it that is stationary. That one, if you guys haven't seen the leaked trailer for Ahsoka, I won't try to spoil anything. But that one is gnarly. There is a person at the end of there. I showed you that.
Mm-hmm.
We get a Sith, but probably an Inquisitor. A lot of people are saying it's probably the sixth brother. So that's more than likely we're finally going to see the story of Ahsoka purifying her crystals.
well, he doesn't really look like the rest of the Inquisitors.
That's true.
He looks his own thing almost. Maybe it's Darth Maul with a mask. The return of Darth Maul again.
Again. Or if nothing else, I mean, with the Shadow of the Sith book, we just saw a Sith that was possessed by an ancient mask of Viceroy Panchard. So it could just be a Sith artifact possessing somebody trying to come back to flesh.
That'd be crazy.
That could be a scene too, but I believe, because it is a double-bladed lightsaber, it really just screams at me, this is where she's going to purify the new crystals to get her lightsabers.
Yeah, because we don't have any background. She just shows up with two white.
There is a book, but it is not
Yeah.
full canon.
Okay.
And that's where a lot of people feel like it was the sixth brother, because that's, I think, who she takes down in the book series to get the
Okay.
crystals.
That'd be fun. That'd be a lot of fun.
Maybe it combines the two. Maybe the sixth brother, but he's possessed with the Sith mask.
And that's how the mask gets into, like, circulation again. Yeah, I mean, all of that could very much happen. But you're right. Thinking about it, he doesn't have the thick armor. He doesn't have any of, like, that plasteel or
Maybe he
duraplast.
can't. Maybe his species, he can't.
Oh, true. It could be a species thing, but maybe he's like a. Oh, what is that Master's Jedi who looked like a Q-tip?
One villain I'd love to see in that series, or I'd like to see again, is Thrawn.
Yes.
Thrawn.
Now, I guess we'll switch over to a bit of Ahsoka talk then. Thrawn is going to be a big pull within the Star Wars community, but again, the casual fans not going to really know. So it's one of those things, like, they could do a lot of fun stuff with this, because a lot of the hardcore, like, casual fans, they don't watch anything animated.
Well, it'd be a good pick because, well, one, he's just a great character in general. And two, they really need to show why we don't hear much about anything about Thrawn
Right.
anymore. So they need to kind of close this story, because I feel like they really have.
And if they write him the way that we see him in a lot of the books and the animated series, he's an amazing villain because he's so smart.
Did they ever kill him off in any of the new stuff?
No, because the books are all beforehand when he's like adventuring with Skywalker. And
I don't remember him. I don't remember what happened to him in Rebels, to be honest.
Oh, Ezra and the this is spoilers for Rebels. Ezra and the Purgles grab his ship, and he's like force holding a door closed so the stormtroopers can't get to him, and force holding Thrawn in the Purgles' grip, and the Purgles hyperspace jump them into unknown space.
Well, even then, because this is supposed to be before that, right?
No,
no.
This is
Ahsoka's not.
No,
that's
Ahsoka
why whenever
will.
Ahsoka says "Where is Thrawn?" she's looking for him and Ezra.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about the show.
Yeah, no, the Ahsoka
The
show is after the Mandalorian. It's after Rebels.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like a lot of people. It's a continuation of Rebels, but I think it'll definitely have more of its own vibe. I even liked how they kind of they lengthened the Liku and the what are the top parts?
Montrails.
Montrails, yes. They lengthened her Montrails and her Liku in the Ahsoka series now, so I feel like it's probably going to be a little bit less action based from Ahsoka. Maybe it'll be far more like with Sabine, but yeah. Hopefully Ezra. I really want to see Ezra and Thrawn again. So far, from what I've heard, is the most like rumored actor for Ezra is the gentleman who played Aladdin.
And as much as I love all those characters, I'm just ready to see Hera.
We do get live action Hera, which means we got to get live action Chopper.
And I would love to see Zeb because I just love Zeb. He's such a great character.
And that'll be the one thing though with this is because the animation style was so sharp featured in Rebels, it'll be very easy for them to pull random actors. I don't know who they would do to play Thrawn, but it's got to be someone who's very commanding presence.
His voice actor like really good for the role?
Yeah, but so was the Grand Inquisitor.
I think a good actor, and he's got the age that would show Thrawn being older. Trying to think of his name. The guy who plays Mr. Smith, and he also plays in The Matrix, and then plays the Red Skull.
Okay.
Yes.
He'd be good.
Smith.
He's got that whole vibe. The way all his characters are the similar vibe. The kind of stern, genius kind of character. But he played the Red Skull and all that.
I love how it's telling me everything about Agent Smith and not the bloody actor's name.
Look up Crimson Skull.
Actor.
That's the most big recent role he did.
Hugo Weaving. Okay.
Such a good actor.
Because you look how he's a lot older.
Mm-hmm.
I think he would be great for I think that'd be the great age to show him because that species is supposed to be similar age to humans. So.
Yeah.
And then he can have everything because he'll have Lord of the Rings and Star Wars and
Marvel.
Matrix. Marvel. Is he?
It'd be almost as good as Dracula.
Yeah. Definitely in the Ahsoka series, though. I think I really enjoy the actress they got for Sabine, because listening to a lot of the interviews she gave at Celebrations, she's a die-hard Star Wars fan, and she was like so honored to be Sabine that I know she's gonna really give a lot of good character to her. The same with Rosario Dawson, how she was like, "Oh, I was told they wanted me for Ahsoka, and I watched all of the Clone Wars, and I watched everything I could get my hands on." And I was like, there we go. That's all you got to do.
And that's like just the basic for becoming a character that's so loved.
Yeah.
You have to do that research because if you don't even like look into how the character acts or anything like that, you're not going to get all the little nuances.
Yeah.
Because there's so many things you can do as an animator to make a character really pop, and it's not really something you can tell. You have to see it.
Yeah, there's a lot of body language, I imagine, with animating.
Yes. So much body language.
Well, especially when you have characters that don't have mouths for most of the time when they have their helmets on.
Yes. That's a big thing I've learned with just like my Mandalorian cosplay I do now is, especially with like the TikTok side of things, you've really got to like be boisterous and almost like you're on a stage theater to really like give that vibe out when no one can see any expression whatsoever. You got to like move your head a lot more. It's almost like an owl. You got to be like, really inquisical. If you're like wondering, if you're angry, you got to like really shake a lot. Like it's very different. And I think Pedro Pascal showed that it's very, very possible. And not even Pedro. What is it? Bruce Wayne? Not Bruce Wayne.
Batman.
God, my nose. But the famous actor John Wayne, his son is who is normally wearing the Mando armor.
The body double.
Yeah. So he did an amazing job too of having that like gunslinger mentality. And
you have
Sabine,
to have that presence.
yeah, Sabine has that same kind of Mando gunslinger, but she's needs to be much more expressed because she's an artist. She's an artist before she's like anything else to herself, at least. And because her armor was so different to all the other Mandalorian armor.
Because she had her expression, she got to add her own little twist to everything. I don't even think she had her basic family colors, did she?
No, her basic family colors were yellow.
Yeah.
Yellow and gray.
And she would change something like every week.
But then the other big thing too is like she kind of created the rebellion symbol, and that was really cool to see in Rebels. So she has a very rebellious attitude, and that could really shine through into the Ahsoka series, because Ahsoka, especially at this time, after the Clone Wars, after Rebels, is much more of the
Sage.
the mother, the sage. Yeah, exactly. So it'll kind of be a really good dynamic to see a adult Sabine who is still able to like bust skulls, but is all about personal self-expression, and then the sage that is Rosario Dawson's Ahsoka Tano, that is very reserved and inquisical. I think the Ahsoka series will do a really good job on probably getting a lot of people to want to go back and watch the Ahsoka in Clone Wars and in Rebels. It was really smart what Disney Plus did, though, by making like the essentials list. Like, if you don't know much about Ahsoka, but you kind of want to catch up, here's 7 episodes. Watch these, and you're good.
Yeah, I'll have to catch back up. I've seen it, but it's been so long.
Yeah. I think we have like a yearly rewatch of Rebels.
And soon we'll have even more.
Yeah, with the little one especially. Alright, so we have... I guess kind of got off cue. I'm going to go back to talking about a bit of the Acolyte, though. Because the other good thing about the Acolyte is it is set in the High Republic. So this is 200 or even further back. Like, it's about 600 to right before Phantom Menace. But this is probably going to be, I think they've said around 200 years before. So this is going to be before the events of the Phase 1 books in High Republic, and will really kind of, I think, connect a lot of dots that from Darth Bane, hopefully all the way to Darth Tenebris or Darth Plagueis.
Yeah, my wish for this is that it does real well, the fans take it well, because it's not a super long stretch from the setting, but it is compared to everything they put out.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to show that, hey, we like Star Wars stuff that isn't the Civil War time frame. We'd like to see,
I mean, we're still gonna get people who are like, where are the Clone Wars flashbacks? Because that was the biggest thing throughout all of the Obi-Wan series. They're like, we need flashbacks for Obi-Wan to really matter.
And then they got it, and it wasn't enough.
Or it was, yeah. That's the fun part of it.
I just hope. I don't want Yoda to show up, because it is his time frame.
He's still alive.
He can, like, a little bit, but I don't want him to be that much in it. Which is why I like a lot of the High Republic stuff. He's mentioned, but he is not integral to any part of those stories.
But again, you also have to think, to me, you got to think of it as a sense of, again, the casual fan.
Yeah.
What is going to keep them? And I'm not saying that Yoda should be in, like, every episode, but I could definitely see Yoda, like, popping in for, like, a brief second, just being like, oh, I sense some darkness. Or like, something, but
he trained somebody. And
I don't want any Jedi in this. That's the whole point of the Acolyte. Is it's supposed to be about the Sith that are in hiding. Like, they are supposed to be in extreme hiding right now. They don't. That's why you always hear all the Jedi say, "Oh, there have been no Sith for thousands of years." What are you talking about? Because this is after Darth Bane.
We'll see some Jedi. They won't be able to help themselves.
That's true.
Especially with the High Republic, because they're so...
There'll be some major character we'll have to rewrite something.
I mean, that is true, though. Yeah, the High Republic Jedi are also, like, the most blinged out, drippy Jedi robes ever because it's all like lined with white and gold. So they're definitely going to put a few Jedi in there. I hope they're killed. Like, just give it, and they're like, oh yeah, there's a blue lightsaber, there's a green lightsaber, and then they're just dead. That would like set a tone. Because to me, that's another thing that I think Acolyte could do is set a new tone in Star Wars. That this is not about hope. This is about despair. This is about like things not going good.
I think we need dark and gritty.
Oh yeah, a little darkness. Like Marvel is amazing, but people have latched on to Deadpool.
I think a cool thing they could do with the Acolyte, at least with some of the characters, because they're supposed to be the quote unquote bad guys, but it would be cool to see because they gotta have a main character, have somebody that we have some to question, like maybe because they've always portrayed the Sith to be the bad guy. There's no question about that. But we've seen bad guys be swayed back over to the light side of the Force, so it would be really interesting to have because not everybody that's on the wrong side in our current history was put there originally for their own. They had reasons they were there in the first place.
Right. One of my favorite sayings is always, "The path to hell is paved in good intentions."
So I'd love to see this kind of moral thing that I know they're Sith, but we want to we gotta root for this guy.
Right. Like early Dooku kind of stuff, where like, yeah, Dooku eventually succumbs to the dark side, but he went into the dark side because his planet needed him, and the Jedi were doing nothing.
Yeah.
Revan fell to the dark side because the Jedi Council would do nothing to stop the Mandalorians from destroying countless innocent planets.
Yeah. And like, I think we need the dark and gritty because we got to look at it with Solo, like a tiny little bit,
yeah,
a little taste of it, but we need more dark and gritty.
Which, again, I think they might... I wouldn't be surprised if Andor is going to be very heavily watched on because Solo, I wouldn't say did bad, but a lot of people loved the crime syndicate stuff in Solo, so maybe they'll kind of push that a little bit more in Andor or the Acolyte, because the Sith have always worked with the Hutts, with crime bosses.
Yeah, I would love to see it. I think the impression, because when it comes to the executive side, they just see numbers.
Yeah.
With Solo, I just think it was bad timing when that movie came out, and then also they're just the kind of storyline kind of fell flat, so a lot of people got pretty bored of it.
Right.
But
I think a lot of people feel like there was a lot of like unnecessary stuff that was like very fan servicey.
Yeah, they're trying to. I think they kind of changed his origin in a way of how everybody pictured him, how he did things. But yeah, more fan servicey. But yeah, I think it's a bad timing and just wasn't a real solid storyline.
Right.
That really hurt the movie.
But Andor could be them doing it right. If they do Andor right, it'll be the same vibe, but done way better.
The whole atmosphere and all that is great. I honestly, that's one thing I would love to see in a series or movie or whatever. A lot of because we get a little bit with the Book of Boba Fett, but the crime world of which is so huge in Star Wars, all the games and stuff that cover it,
and like the bombing of
that.
Yeah, when they blew up that like pleasure den. That was powerful. That was like, oh wow, that's a lot of innocent people that just got killed.
That's where we got more of that dark.
Yeah, we got a lot more of that darkness from the Pike Syndicate, running spice, not caring, ruining Tatooine and liking it because they just made money off of it. So let's see. Andor, Acolyte, Ahsoka. Lots of A's. Just realized that. A lot of A's. Bad Batch, Season 2. Again, I'm going to be really excited. I don't know why I want it so bad, but I really want Omega and Boba to meet.
I think they're siblings, like direct.
They're slow. Yeah, they're like the slow. They don't have the age accelerator.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think she's supposed to be the new experiment, like the replacement of the clones, but till the Empire decided to cancel the program. So
I think she was that one Kimonan, like their own special experiment.
Yeah, probably.
Because she was hidden.
Yeah, and that
she's got to have the Force, right? That's like
Yeah, no,
that's why
100%.
she's so
She
special.
has to.
She has to have the Force, right? Because
Who
when I first
knows?
saw it, I was like, that's my first thought. Is like they keep talking about how special she was. She's got to have the Force.
It's got to be something.
Yeah. It
But
can't just
yeah.
be because she's female. That's not it.
Yeah.
Which I think her being female is the side effect of her being so Force sensitive. It's just
Because isn't it Thrawn's race?
The Chiss?
Yes. Only the females have access to the Force.
True. But they've also been like they're like in the far outreaches of unknown space, so that
Yeah.
could alter the way
But
things
that,
go too.
that makes
because,
a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Like that correlation. Like female Force, more of a related thing. So.
And of course, like the Force does work in weird ways around females sometimes. Because but then like with the other evidence that we have, like Shmi, just all of a sudden got pregnant through the Force. Now, of course, that's the chosen one, but it's still the Force did something specially weird. I really hope they don't ever make it to where Palpatine actually influenced his birth, because that I don't want that at all.
No.
But
something with that time portal thing that.
Oh no! Leave the world between worlds alone. Even in the Ahsoka series, I do not need them to go into the world between worlds. I like that Star Wars is just one single timeline.
But then we wouldn't have Ahsoka.
So he messed with it once. Cool. I don't feel like they need to like dive too deep into the world between worlds, because that's when things just get weird. Because then you're like, okay, so then go back and save Qui-Gon.
It seems like a path to the dark side.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of dipping also into the Marvel territory, because that's what they've been pushing, because that's the next biggest thing to cover.
Yeah, the multiverse and all that fun stuff.
So stuff.
Yeah, so stuff. I would also say within the Ahsoka series, I don't know if we would ever see her get to commune with Anakin, but that could be really enjoyable. I mean, again, Shadow of the Sith, we got, and at the end of Return of the Jedi, Anakin is a Force ghost. He does have that potential. So it could be like a really nice way to close out that arc with Ahsoka and just be like, hey, Sky Guy, and they just have like a simple like, I'm sorry, I know.
Especially after her meeting Luke.
Yeah.
And talking with Luke.
But that might also just be pure fan servicey. That might just be like, oh, I just want to see it because it would, make me happy.
I don't know. I feel like Dave would do it. Because it would be
if Dave Filoni is going to do anything, he's going to show you Order 66 5 times.
Yeah, break our heart and then give us that closure. So we can just yell, God fucking damn it, Dave.
Right. The shows, I think, are kind of edging towards a little bit more adult themed with a little bit more like darker stuff thrown throughout. That'll definitely help Mandalorian season 3, because if this is going to be about like war on Mandalore and like the clans trying to reunite behind who they want to be Mandalore. Also, that little tiny helmet, if you see in one of the trailers, the armor has now made like a super tiny Mandalorian helmet. And that's not like what any of the foundlings are wearing in the converts. Like they have like a different kind of helmet on. Is that Grogu's helmet? Is Grogu gonna get a Mando helmet?
Yeah, but what are they gonna do about the ears? Just
holes,
I'm
I
sure
guess.
there's holes.
Poke out the.
Yeah, they're just gonna poke out the side, and maybe he'll just like have like Beskar earrings around his ears.
You think that's how the
reverse
armor will be swayed to help is Grogu? Grogu secretly won her over.
Or it's more of the fact that, I mean, the armor might not show up until after Din has done exactly what he's going to do and has retaken Mandalore, and she's like finally on Mandalore again.
That, or it's going to be like some big conflict that brings everybody together. Like Empire level shit.
And it's also cool because we do get to see different Mandos with like, there's a shot with Din and 3 other different Mandos that are very differently color arrayed. That's going to be nice.
I mean, honestly, that part of the clan, there isn't much left.
Right.
So, there isn't a huge reason to bring her back. But, and we don't really see much development from her.
Mm-hmm.
So, it isn't a strong character other than just like she was in the first season. I think the best way for them to bring her back is she's the one who makes, when he officially gets crowned Mandalore, she makes him a special helmet.
Yeah.
like a Mandalore helmet.
That would make sense.
That would be really cool to see.
And then, the whole, like, mythosaur thing that they were, of course, talking about. We do see her also, like, requenching a new pauldron. That could just be a B-roll shot. Like, that doesn't really have to mean anything. But I feel like the armor is going to be, I wouldn't say integral, but, I mean, maybe they're going to have, like, maybe Bo and the armor are just going to have it out.
I love seeing the
I still think
smithing
she's
in
a
general.
Mandalorian.
Because that's something we've never seen in Star Wars or anything with the armor. So that's just really cool to see the whole smithing of the armor.
Yeah. And yes, Jess is really big on the fun idea that the armor is a Mandalorian because of the spikes on her helmet.
She's gotta be.
We'll see her. Her join, and all of a sudden Maul shows up.
Yeah, there he is again.
Turns out he was head of his clan the whole time,
Yeah.
and we didn't. They never said anything about it. We have no reason why he couldn't be.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, he led Death Watch in the end of the Mandalorian arc, so like, yeah, we're children of the Watch. We're children of Mighty
when
Maul.
He takes over as Mandalorian, and she's like, "Okay, you did your job." And then Maul walks in behind her. He's like, "Here you go."
This time he's like heavily burned and
He has
he's
all his
back
new
to the
problems.
spider legs.
But
They roll him in the back to tank.
There's also a big rumor kind of going around for some reason. I looked into it and there's like zero solid evidence behind it. But there is going to be, there's a rumor mill going around that Moff Gideon is going to have a all black Mandalorian helmet that he's for some reason going to wear, and it also has horns on it.
Yeah, it feels like they gave him kind of the Thrawn vibe, but like he likes to like collect things.
Yeah.
Like appropriate other cultures.
I mean, what else are you gonna do whenever you're taking over the galaxy and destroying cultures?
Especially as a Moff. I mean, that's just what they do great. Is the Empire is rebrand things. I am curious about the Mines of Mandalore, what that's going to ensue. Of course, curious about the Mythosaur, but he who rides the Mythosaur's back. I mean, I still don't know if it's going to be Din, if it's going to be Bo. I hope mostly for Din, because I think the reluctant leader is what Mandalore kind of needs now. Someone who's like, it's not that he doesn't want to help Mandalore or doesn't want to make his people great. It's that he doesn't feel like he can. I think Din feels really like broken down still and just like, I don't know who I am. I don't think I can be a leader.
I don't think he wants to.
Yeah.
Because he's spent most of his life basically just serving, in a way, a cult.
You're right.
So he's just now starting to find out the outside world in a way. He's fell in love with Grogu. So that's like his thing right now. It's been his purpose. So to drop something big on his plate, I'm sure that's going to be, like I said, I have a feeling it's going to be the entire season.
Yeah.
Is him just coming to grips with this is what my destiny is. This is what I should be doing.
The weight on his shoulders. Yeah, I can see that. So again, Bad Batch Season 2, that will be fun. Gungi. I'm stoked that Gungi survived Order 66. We get a Wookiee Jedi. I don't care that he's only like... I mean, then again, like, Wookiee's age to be 400, so Gungi might honestly kind of be like pulling a Grogu, and he's like actually 29 years old, but he's still like, a preteen. But what's going to kind of happen? Is Gungi going to be a little bit more like aggressive now? Because he does have all that Wookiee rage inside of him, and all of his friends are dead.
Well, because this doesn't take place too long after the events in Clone Wars, right?
Not super long, but like Order 66 has happened, of course.
Yeah, but it's not like
Well, what we'll find out is he changes his name. He gets captured and turned into a gladiator. And he changes his name.
Are you trying to make Black Chrysanthemum a Jedi? Because I'm down. I'm not gonna lie. I'd be so down if Chrysanthemum ever pulled out a green lightsaber.
That would be the next season.
Yeah.
Scene 2 of Boba Fett when the Mandalorian Din shows back up to help Boba Fett. Who's like tries to call him back, and they'll do like a whole season, a whole episode for that. They'll get in a fight, and he'll drop the darksaber, and he'll run in and he'll grab it, and they're like, "How do you know how to fight with that?"
Like knight his green lightsaber and fight with both of them. And that is one thing though that I liked the Darksaber lore. If Bo does get her hands on that in any point during the fight, I think Bo will really put up a good fight against Din though, because Bo-Katan does have what the Darksaber needs, or what the armor kind of talks about. She has dedication, she has will, she knows her goal, and she knows what she wants, and she knows what she needs to do. And that's what apparently wielding the Darksaber, like, it attunes to that. The better and stronger the will of the user is, the more the like lighter it feels.
Well,
She's wielded it before.
Yeah.
And so has there's been a few Mandalorians that have wielded it.
Yeah.
And non-Mandalorians.
I think it was very funny to see Paz Vizsla try to like lift the thing too, and he was like, "Oh no!" I was just like, that was a little weird, because then it makes like, if it reads your will, then what is he shaky about?
Gives that Thor vibe, like Mjolnir.
Oh, like the
vibe.
one you have to be worthy to wield the Darksaber, and that is kind of the vibe.
Well, his problem might be because he just kind of just shows up and fights. He might just because he doesn't have a real
he just
real
wants
drive.
It for himself.
I wouldn't see the Darksaber ever working for someone who just blindly follows a cult and doesn't think for themselves ever. Yeah.
Well, I think Din has so much conflict with himself. That's one reason why he struggles so much.
And then him kind of mastering or getting closer to mastering the Darksaber is a good just like story progression plot part. It's just in the base of writing, it just makes sense for him to like the last duel. It's like hundreds of Mandalorians are surrounding Bo and Din as they're getting ready to have this ultimate fight for Mandalore, and he's finally wielding the thing with finesse.
Yeah, it shows like training session and him showing up with Luke.
Yeah, he's got a.
That's what I thought they were gonna do. Either Ahsoka or Luke was gonna train him.
Yeah.
I'm glad they didn't though.
I'm just waiting for the scene where he's running up a bunch of stairs and then he's like punching a frozen Nerf hide.
That Grogu's like lifting.
Yeah, Grogu's just lifting it. We get some real Rocky vibes out of this. A little montage. If Thrawn does show up in Ahsoka, not like I could see Thrawn also just being like the final episode or the final 2 episodes he shows up. If he shows up beforehand, do you think Thrawn would work with the First Order or the Remnant?
I don't know. I don't know if, because we never know what happened to him. So I don't see him just like showing up, hey guys, I was this, I used to be a big deal in the Empire, you can let me in type deal, and will they let him in? And maybe he'll show up with something backing him up, like the Dark Sun. Be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Well, because
Maybe
wasn't
he's
his deal with Palpatine? Like him joining the Empire and everything was deal with Palpatine.
Yeah, Palpatine actually really, well, we wouldn't say respect. I don't think Palpatine respects anybody, but
he could use him very well.
Yeah, that's why he liked Thrawn, is because he knew Thrawn would be able to handle his things on his own.
Yeah.
He didn't need to babysit Thrawn.
Yeah.
Well, the interesting thing too is how the Empire doesn't really allow other species to become any kind of major role like that.
Right.
And he did, so.
That's why I don't think he would join.
I mean,
because they are like extra.
Yeah.
In the new.
The First Order.
Yeah.
Yeah. But something I just thought about. Maybe this is how we get the Chiss Ascendancy. What if Thrawn has gotten back home, and now he has the Chiss Ascendancy behind him again?
I mean, there's a lot of things they could pull from. I think sticking them back with the Empire, whatever, would be kind of a disservice.
Yeah.
Or the First Order, because it wouldn't make sense either. It might make a little sense with the Empire, but a lot wouldn't make sense because it's been so long. He's been away.
And yeah, when you read through the Thrawn books, the Chiss actually, like, it's not that the Chiss people hate Thrawn. The Chiss people love Thrawn because he's a war hero. But the higher-ups in the Chiss Ascendancy hate Thrawn because he can outsmart any of them, and they just don't like that. They're very used to the status quo, which is honestly a thing within the High Republic, too. So I could definitely see, like, obvious reasons we don't see Thrawn in the sequels. So obviously Thrawn is not a part of the First Order.
Yeah. So that's what I think would be a good way to kind of just end his story with kind of a bang. And I think him showing up with his own force would make things a lot interesting.
Do you think Ahsoka will kill him in the end?
I don't know.
It's gonna really depend on what happens.
Yeah, maybe Ezra. And that's another thing too. Is Ezra gonna be tormented? Is he gonna have become like the ultimate Jedi? Is he gonna have like? That'll be a fun thing to see with Ezra as well. Is where is he at in his Jedi sense? Because he was becoming very powerful towards the end of Rebels, and he's a very like good Jedi, but he learned in such a weird way and through such battle, kind of like the Anakin series of Jedi. They all learned how to be Jedi through the Clone Wars, which made them extremely more aggressive. I mean, like Barriss Offee was planting bombs to make a point.
In a way, he kind of had a kind of mix between Anakin and Luke.
Yeah, so that'd be a fun one to really see.
With less whining, to be honest.
Yeah, way less whining, far more jokes.
Yeah.
And also a blaster.
A blaster. That lightsaber was cool because he's a tinkerer. He had that hardcore tinkerer vibe where he just like, well, I made a lightsaber, but I also want to stun people, so I made a blaster saber.
Yeah, it was just like, why has no one done this? I'm like, yeah, shoot, lock blades and just shoot them.
Right.
Goodness.
Yeah, the good guys. Ezra doesn't. Now that's the thing I like about Ezra though is the way Kanan and Ezra really learned, and like they both learned from the Bendu, so they learned about balance. They're going to be a lot more in the same vein as Ahsoka is, and more like the Wayseeker, where they follow the way of the Force, not the ideology of a side of the Force.
Well, and he also had Jedi and Mandalorian training.
And Sith, because don't forget
this
Maul
is because of
wanted
Maul.
to train Ezra as well.
Yep.
So he really is almost like the perfect, poster boy for a new order. If
You think he'll join up with named Cal?
Cal Kestis?
Yeah.
I would love to see Cal Kestis come in for any of this. But I feel like if they threw Cal in with Ezra Bridger, that'd be just like, well, who are we focusing on here? Who is the story going to be about?
I think it'd be like a good New Order type thing. Like
The
him,
good
Cal,
thing is
Rey.
because they base it on the actor, it's really easy to put him in.
Right.
They also did that with
You know
someone
what?
else.
Yeah, who knows? Let's just say, maybe the Rangers of the Frontier show is going to come back out, and it's going to be Ezra, Cal Kestis, Starkiller. They're just going to bring them all in.
I really like the idea for that show. I kind of wish they didn't table it.
And actually, there's talk that it's not entirely tabled. There is a lot of rumor mills spinning that they're actually trying to rehire Gina or figure out some way to work around that, because they wrote themselves into a really big hole after firing Gina Carano, because she was such a huge part of Mandalorian. And she was she was the poster chick for Rangers, yeah.
I mean, they could still do the show without her. I personally believe.
Yeah.
I mean, if they can work something out, which it sucks that the whole. I'm not gonna go in that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
She made a great, strong female, because we've seen so many females that kind of play, second to the male character. So it was cool to see a really powerful woman that was wasn't just there for looks. She was there to.
And that's what sucks about all the other stuff that, again, we don't want to go too far into it, but that's what sucks about the other stuff is now it's seen as a symbol of politics instead of this badass woman who was not going to, sit in anybody's shadow. So, but I think, Hera can kind of fill that hole. Hera has the same vibe a lot. She's not taking griff from nobody.
While she can't really, do all the punching and super intense fighting, she could still mess somebody up.
And we got Finnick. Finnick Shan will punch square in the face.
Oh, yeah. No, Finnick definitely fits that.
And then, what was... you had an idea about their child, right? Hera and Kanan?
Jason.
I
guarantee you he's force sensitive.
Because in the Ahsoka trailer there was someone using the Force kind of roughly, not being very good at it, and that is her theory, is that it might actually be Jason, the son of Kanan and Hera.
Well, it would make sense why they would bring back the freaking robot.
Yeah, that is another part. That it is also shown that they have the robot who trains,
who builds the sabers.
Yeah.
So they didn't lose all that knowledge,
which is good. But that's also a weird thing. That's kind of what's going on here then? I thought all the lightsabers were destroyed, but Luke has Yoda's. Where did he get it? How? That'd be a fun story to go through. Last we know, it was dropped on Coruscant, and then a clone trooper, gave it to Palpatine, this is all we found, sir. Or I don't know if they gave it to him, but they were this is the only thing we've got.
He probably got it from the Death Star before it blew up. or when it blew up or whatever.
I could see Palpatine keep Yoda's saber as like a trophy.
They clearly
like,
kept the other ones. The Inquisitors clearly kept lightsabers.
That's true. That's true. I guess that comic isn't canon anymore because there's a comic in which they rounded up every single Jedi's lightsaber and burned them.
Yeah.
And Masamita holds up Yoda's, and it's the first one thrown into the pit. So that's already been decannoned.
Yeah, because they have that.
But apparently froze them now, so.
Yeah. That is another part of like the Inquisitorium stuff. I'm sure that's all going to be from trying to just clone Force sensitives, which could then lead. They could talk about that way more in Bad Batch 2 with Omega, and if she does find out that she is Force sensitive, and they kind of play with that, that'd be a really nice opening door to kind of help with the whole bringing Palps back. But it sucks that that's how it has to be, but it's still not. It's better than nothing. Like the sequels get better and better after each comic, each book, and each movie, or like each TV show comes out, because they fill in all the gaps that they didn't want to fill in when they wrote that holy
mess.
Yeah, sure. Well, yeah, without going too far into the bloody sequels. And
I'd love them to hint at it.
Yeah.
I'm done with seeing Palpatine. I don't want to hear him.
Yeah. As much as I love Ian McDermott, as much as I love Palpatine's character and what he represents, yeah, I'm good. I'm so good. We don't want it. All right, so here's the big things we don't want. We don't need Palpatine. We don't need Tatooine. And we don't need everyone to be redeemed all the time. Especially in the Acolyte. If this is a Sith show, make the chick, because it's a lead female, is going to be what the show's about. Make her dark and gritty and just not taking nothing from nobody. It doesn't have to be Reva. Like, I had liked Reva's story, but it would have been better in its own thing.
Yeah.
So
that's the thing that sometimes Star Wars did, and they did that with the newer movies, where they kind of threw in a character and they just there's just there's this and this. You guys enjoy love this character, but they don't give you anything else.
Yeah.
That you can't without making if she had her own like a show, like a series before that where she was introduced more and had more character development, I'm sure that her character would be a lot more loved.
Right. It's like the new phrase, glub shittos. It's like these random little background side characters that are super interesting that we either needed more context for or less screen time in what they were in to then give us context later.
But yeah, we've seen so much from Obi-Wan through the movies and Clone Wars and everything, and he's a war veteran, he's a general, he's got so much titles, and then we're supposed to be like this character that showed up out of nowhere just because she was thrown in as a Sith Inquisitor and everything. I'm not hating on the character, because I actually one of the few people that thought it was a decent character.
Yeah.
Sure, it was, everybody's like annoying because she was kind of whiny and all this stuff, but that's like, there's like a Sith that was that character in every show.
You show me a dark side user that isn't a little whiny, and I'll give you some money, because they're usually very whiny.
She was more of a Sith than the other Inquisitors.
She was definitely more of a Sith than the other Inquisitors. Like that's probably one of the biggest problems too. Is like, I wouldn't say the writing was wrong there, but she was out to do whatever she could to have her agenda met and kill Vader, kill Anakin. So that was like, that's Sith logic, is like, and I bet had she been able to do it, Palpatine would have probably been like, all right, cool, you're my apprentice now.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get into it because, like I said, I didn't think she was a bad actress. People were harping on her. I didn't have any. I watched the show, and that was not the issue that I had with the show. I don't really have many issues with the show, to be honest.
I think these next few shows are going to be a lot less divisive, because I feel like they're really honing in and working on that without trying to think about doing so much more of the grandiose of Star Wars, without thinking about pushing like a lot of stuff out. They're really just focusing, all right, this is about the story of Ahsoka, and Dave's going to be headfall into it. This is the story of Din and Bo on Mandalore. Like, they're not trying to make it huge. They're just like, no, let's focus.
Yeah, and the thing is, when you do it like that, like with her, and you try to push a character without any kind of real development,
Mm-hmm.
and that was honestly I think where she really fell flat as the character itself,
Mm-hmm.
not her. Was we weren't given anything other than when we were basically told and not shown in a way that she had she went through the whole Youngling massacre and all this stuff,
Yeah.
and that's basically, and then yeah, I mean that's her history with that we are told, and we don't get anything. I mean, it'd be, I think, like I said, I think if they, I don't know, had her in Rebels or something, not Rebels, in the Clone Wars or
Mm-hmm.
something, she'd probably be taken a lot better. But
Yeah.
just dropped her on and hey, enjoy this character.
Right. So yeah.
And then also they made her really powerful without expressing why she's powerful. Like the whole, I mean that's gonna take a lot of strength to be able to get almost killed. I don't know.
I think it's purely revenge.
Well, it's
And
like
that
it's like
anger
what the
that really drove it.
she got stabbed. I mean,
well, it's what the Grand Inquisitor says though. Hate can do a lot, because that's how like Darth Sion. That's what keeps Darth Vader going is his hatred, his anger, and his passion for revenge and stuff.
That's why the Sith can be so powerful.
And
They
but
have
with
that
Grand Inquisitor also give it. He had another stomach. He's got 2 of those bad boys.
yeah. Well, also, in the Grand Inquisitor, he has a form that we've had his character build up.
Yeah.
We can accept that he's the Grand Inquisitor because we've seen him already. We've seen him in another show. So
Yeah.
we've seen development with him.
But the dark side is just that. It is supposed to give you, like, it's a cheat code to make you just stronger than you should be.
Yeah.
So, but, and then she does still survive regardless, because she kind of comes back to the light after the end of Kenobi. So, and honestly, I won't be mad if they do put her into a show in the future and, like, show her a bit more redemption and show her doing things. That's fine.
Yeah, I know they're gonna be. Like I said, I know when you get into the business side of things, they're gonna be kind of not wanting to after the whole backlash, which I still think is pretty silly.
Yeah. So then, looking definitely forward to Ahsoka and seeing about Thrawn and Ezra. I'm not going to be surprised if they're in the last few episodes. With Mandalorian Season 3, it's going to be a very huge, like, awesome battle for Mandalore. Reuniting of the clans will be really cool. And then, again, either we get a crusade or we get them trying to heal their people and their space. Andor, we get to see some awesome espionage. You were to say something, Mike? Go right ahead.
I was gonna say, how long do you think they're gonna push the Mandalorian show? Do you think they're gonna keep doing more after this one?
Why not? It's like the #1 show for them right now. It has been for 2 seasons already.
I think they have a lot they can do with it.
And if they do, I mean, they could build it up to where, like, the Mandalorians with Bo-Katan realizing, like, the error of the Mandalorian way by letting the Sith and the Empire kind of, like, cattle them into constant wars, then maybe the Mandalorians are going to take over where the Jedi no longer are, and they're going to become kind of the peacekeepers of the galaxy.
Well, to fit with canon, to like not interrupt the other movies, and to fit with the Mandalorians, the way of thinking, I think they'll probably seclude them off from the rest of the galaxy, kind of like they're in their own thing now.
Yeah, like an isolation period.
Because that would be cool if they ever do post the sequels.
Right.
Then they can bring them back. So they built up their strength this whole time, while everybody else was fighting.
Yeah.
We have all the resistance and all this whole war torn. Everybody's weak now.
Yep.
Guess what? We're back.
And then they start taking over, and even better, with this new crusade and them taking back a lot of space, we get flashbacks, like everyone loves so much, of the other Mandalorian crusade, and we get Revan, and we get Mandalore the Ultimate.
Then we get more series, and then we maybe get movies
Yeah.
and games and all
It would
kinds
be
of stuff.
great to be the new bad guy type situation.
Yeah, let the Mandalorians be the new bad guy, because they're fine with that. Because it's not so much, like you said, it's like with some of these Sith. It's not that they're the bad guy because they're just bad. They're the bad guy because the only way a Mandalorian betters themselves is through strife and through fighting and through, like, self-improvement by a pound of flesh.
It's their culture to earn any kind of standing, or just to be a Mandalorian, you gotta fight. And if Somebody's got to be the fight, especially
Yeah.
when they get bigger. That was the whole deal with the Crusade, because he just got so big and big. They're like, I guess we'll take over the galaxy.
Right. So yeah, I really hope that they kind of do like push into a state of isolation to build back up Mandalore, to build back up Concord
It would
Dawn.
make sense for the whole their culture and for logistical side of things.
Yeah.
Focus on them, and it would also make sense why we haven't seen any Mandalorians in anything newer.
Right. That's very true. If the Mandalorians were a very prosperous people again, First Order would have tried. The New Republic would have definitely tried. So yeah, they have to be in like a hardcore state of like, we're not helping nobody besides us.
Yeah.
Well, and to think about, the First Order probably doesn't even consider them because everybody else, the Mandalorians are completely gone. So
Right.
they could fly under the radar as long as they don't go. And that's probably run Mandalore and just keep to themselves type of situation.
Yeah, I really hope for that. But I could definitely see Mandalorian going on to seasons 10, like definitely double digits.
Yeah, easily.
So then we'll kind of wrap things up. Again, super excited for the Acolyte, and I think Mandalorian season 3 is going to be stellar. What are you most excited?
Ahsoka. And Hera.
Yeah, Ahsoka and Hera. That makes sense. Mike, how about you?
That's a hard one. I guess Andor. I'm just more Star Wars.
Yes.
That's always a good answer.
When you grew up in a drought of no content, and all of a sudden just every direction, it's just I don't like a lot of other shows.
Mm-hmm.
So to get more stuff that I would enjoy watching, I'm not gonna say no. I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah.
It's more content, so I can't say no to that.
Right. Oh, I'm so down. I'm easy to please and ready. I'm so ready. Alrighty. Well, again, make sure to like and rate on Spotify, Anchor for our audio podcast. Comment, like, share, and subscribe over on Ducks and Download for YouTube. Leave a comment wherever you can about what show you're the most excited for, what character you want to see, any topic at all under the sun. Feel free to just leave us a comment. We love to hear from you all. And again, we are eventually going to work up to having a live, but right now this is just easier for all of us to record. So 5 p.m. every single Friday. We're going to make sure to have it out in audio and video capacity. Thank you all for joining us so much, and may the Force serve you well.